Your emotions are not your friend. Let me say that again. Your emotions are not your friend. They are not some sacred inner voice guiding you toward truth and happiness. No, they're biological reactions designed for a world that no longer exists. A world where split-second emotional reactions meant the difference between life and death. But in today's world, those emotions are sabotaging your success, wrecking your relationships, and keeping you trapped in endless cycles of regret and failure. Every day, you make decisions based on how you feel in the moment. You get triggered by a comment and lash out, regretting it later. You feel overwhelmed and quit on your goals. You get anxious about a presentation and avoid an opportunity that could change your career. You let anger control your words, destroying relationships that took years to build. You're being controlled by chemical reactions in your brain, and you don't even realize it. But here's the thing: the top 1% of high achievers know that you don't. They have mastered the most powerful skill in human existence. They've learned the ability to not react. They've learned to feel the emotion, acknowledge it, and then choose their response based on logic, strategy, and long-term thinking, not the primitive impulses screaming in their heads. This is not about becoming emotionless or suppressing your feelings. Not at all. It's about taking control of your life by mastering the space between stimulus and response. That space, right there, that's where your power lies. That's where your future is determined. By the time you finish this audiobook, you'll be a different person. You'll have the tools, the knowledge, and the mental frameworks to control your emotions, instead of being controlled by them. You'll know how to stay calm under pressure, make smarter decisions when stakes are high, and develop the unshakable inner strength that separates winners from everyone else. Chapter 1. The Hidden Cost of Emotional Reactivity. Why do emotions have such a powerful hold on us? It's simple. Our brain is wired to react, not to think. Emotions are instantaneous, primitive responses to perceived threats. In the past, this was vital for survival. If you saw a wild animal charging at you, reacting without thinking could mean the difference between life and death. But today, we face very different threats. An email from your boss, a comment on social media, or an argument with a loved one. These are the things that get us worked up. Yet they aren't life-threatening situations. And here's the kicker: reacting to these modern threats the same way we reacted to saber-toothed tigers is doing more harm than good. Think about it. How many times have you let a moment of emotional reactivity ruin your day? We've all been there. In meetings, when someone challenges you in front of your peers, you feel that rush of anger or embarrassment. Your heart starts racing, your palms sweat, and your brain tells you to fight back. Before you know it, you've said something you regret. You've created tension where there was none. You've damaged your reputation, and all over one single, fleeting emotional reaction. The truth is, emotional reactions cost us far more than we think. They cost us our peace, our happiness, and most often our success. You may think it's harmless, but the impact ripples through every aspect of your life, whether you're aware of it or not. And here's the science. Every time you react emotionally, you're triggering a flood of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals interfere with your thinking, cloud your judgment, and make it almost impossible to act rationally. But what people don't realize is that these chemicals linger. Hours, sometimes even days, after the situation has passed, your body is still carrying the effects. Your heart rate, your stress levels, and your ability to think clearly all suffer. The chain reaction of emotional reactivity. Consider this. You wake up late and you're already stressed. The morning's chaotic. There's no time for breakfast, traffic's terrible, and then an email from your boss sets you off. You feel that familiar tightness in your chest, that surge of anxiety. You snap back at your colleague, ignoring your deeper values. The result? You carry that negative emotional energy throughout your day. Now you're no longer responding. You're reacting. Everything becomes amplified. Your emotional outbursts in the morning affect how you interact with others in the afternoon, and the cycle continues. And here's where the compound effect kicks in. Each emotional reaction builds on the last. The more you react emotionally, the more difficult it becomes to stop. You reinforce the brain pathways that encourage this behavior, and before long, it becomes a vicious cycle. Rewiring your brain for emotional control, what if you could break this cycle? What if you could learn to recognize emotional triggers and respond with intention rather than reaction? The power to interrupt the pattern is in your hands. Here's the secret. Your brain is not stuck the way it is. With the right tools and consistent practice, you can rewire your brain. Every time you choose to pause, take a deep breath, and make a thoughtful response instead of reacting impulsively, you're strengthening the pathways that lead to emotional control. The more you do this, the more automatic it becomes. The cost of ignoring emotional mastery. Now, let's talk about the financial and relational costs. Emotional reactivity doesn't just affect your work performance or your relationships in the moment. It destroys long-term potential. Every time you react without thinking, you risk missing out on opportunities. Think of all the deals you've missed, the relationships you've damaged, and the goals you've abandoned because you let your emotions take over. Real-world example. I've worked with executives who lost millions of dollars because they made decisions while angry. I've seen entrepreneurs destroy partnerships that took years to build because they couldn't manage their emotional responses during negotiations. I've watched brilliant individuals sabotage their careers by sending emails they wrote out of frustration or making presentations riddled with anxiety. And when it comes to relationships, the cost is even higher. Every emotional outburst you have with someone close to you chips away at the trust and connection you've built. Your children, your partner, your colleagues, they learn from your emotional responses. When they see you lose control, they start to doubt your ability to lead, to support, and to communicate effectively. Eventually, they'll start walking on eggshells around you, unsure of which version of you they'll encounter. That's when the damage is real and lasting. The good news is that emotional reactivity is not something you're stuck with. It's a habit, and habits can be broken. Just like learning any new skill, emotional mastery takes time, but with consistent effort, you can rewire your brain and choose emotional control instead of impulsivity. The key is understanding the space between stimulus and response, the moment when you can choose how to react. In that space lies your power. And when you learn to use that power effectively, you will change the course of your life. Random fact. Did you know that the shortest war in history lasted only 38 to 45 minutes? It was the Anglo-Zanzibar War in 1896. Imagine how much could be accomplished if we learned to control our reactions that quickly. Let's dive deeper into this transformative journey of mastering your emotions. By the time we're through, you'll not only understand the science behind emotional control, but you'll have the tools to implement it in your everyday life, making emotional mastery second nature. Chapter 2. Why your brain is wired to sabotage you. If you want to truly control your emotions, you first need to understand why your brain seems determined to make you lose control. This isn't just some personal flaw or character weakness. Your brain has been hardwired for survival. And in today's world, that ancient wiring is working against you. Let's talk about the amygdala. This small, almond-shaped structure deep in your brain is your personal alarm system. Its job is simple: protect you from threats. When danger appears, Whether it's a predator or a stressful situation, the amygdala goes into action. It floods your body with adrenaline, shuts down your logical thinking, and kicks your body into fight-or-flight mode. Think about how this worked for our ancestors. Imagine walking through the jungle, and suddenly, a saber-toothed tiger jumps out at you. The amygdala takes over, pumping adrenaline into your bloodstream, making your muscles tense, your heart race, and your focus narrow, all for quick action. This response saved lives. But guess what? The world has changed drastically since those days. Your amygdala hasn't gotten the memo. The amygdala hijack. Why you react instead of responding in today's world. Your brain still treats modern stressors the same as a saber-toothed tiger attack. When you get a harsh email, face a criticism, or experience conflict, your amygdala triggers a stress response that makes you react impulsively, often without thinking. That's what we call an amygdala hijack. Here's the catch. Your amygdala can't tell the difference between a real physical threat and a social threat. It doesn't differentiate between someone cutting you off in traffic or someone rejecting your ideas in a meeting. It perceives both situations as life-or-death threats and reacts accordingly. In an ideal world, this was great for survival. In the modern world, it's a recipe for emotional disaster. The moment your brain perceives a threat, whether it's an angry boss or a tense family situation, your amygdala overrides your logical thinking, sending you into emotional overdrive. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and impulse control, goes offline. You literally become less intelligent when you're emotionally activated. This means you can't think clearly, can't strategize, and, most importantly, you can't respond logically to what's happening around you. The negativity bias. Why your brain focuses on the worst but there's more. Your brain has a built-in negativity bias. This means it's much better at remembering threats, failures, and bad news than it is at remembering successes, rewards, or good things that happen to you. This evolved for a good reason. You couldn't afford to forget about a dangerous situation. Forgetting a predator or natural disaster could have meant death, but forgetting a win or reward, not as life-threatening. Today, this negativity bias has a serious downside. It's why you're more likely to focus on a single negative comment out of the hundreds of positive ones. It's why the stress of a bad day sticks with you longer than the joy of a good one. It's why you can't shake that feeling of disappointment after a minor setback, but the small victories fade quickly from memory. Why do we react before we think? Let's add another layer to this complex system: the speed at which your brain reacts. Your amygdala processes information in milliseconds, about 12 milliseconds to be exact, while your prefrontal cortex takes at least 500 milliseconds to process the same information. That's a massive gap. Your brain is hardwired to react emotionally before you even have a chance to think logically about the situation. It's like a rush of adrenaline before your mind has even finished processing what's happening. So when you suddenly feel anger or anxiety, your amygdala is already acting and reacting while your prefrontal cortex is still catching up. By the time you consciously realize you're angry or stressed, your body is already in fight-or-flight mode. The modern stressor. How we're constantly triggered, we're constantly bombarded with stressors. Emails, phone calls, social media notifications, traffic jams, financial pressures, workplace conflicts. The list goes on. All of these are triggers. They activate your amygdala, putting your brain into a constant state of low-level stress. Over time, this chronic activation leads to higher emotional reactivity. You become hypersensitive to minor inconveniences. You feel anxious, overwhelmed, and irritable more often. Every little problem feels like a crisis, and your ability to think logically and respond effectively gets diminished. And there's a vicious cycle. The more your amygdala is triggered, the more easily it gets triggered in the future. This neural pathway reinforcement means that your brain becomes more prone to reacting emotionally, even in situations where the stakes aren't that high. A small argument becomes a full-blown fight. A stressful moment becomes a meltdown. And all of this keeps you trapped in cycles of stress, reactivity, and regret. Rewiring your brain for emotional control. The good news is, your brain is plastic. It can change, adapt, and rewire itself. This isn't a permanent condition. You can retrain your brain to respond differently. By consistently practicing emotional control techniques, you can strengthen the prefrontal cortex and weaken the emotional reactivity that hijacks your decision-making. Here's how. Recognize the space between stimulus and response. The moment you become aware of an emotional trigger, that's when you have power. You don't have to react immediately. Take a pause. Pause, breathe, and think. Instead of diving headfirst into emotional reactions, you can choose to respond with clarity, logic, and long-term thinking. Emotional awareness is key. The more you practice recognizing your emotional state as it arises, the better equipped you are to manage it. Breaking the cycle. The key to breaking the cycle of emotional reactivity is to practice emotional awareness and control, especially during low-stakes situations. By consistently applying emotional regulation techniques, you can strengthen your ability to remain calm and rational when the stakes are high. In doing so, you're rewiring your brain, making emotional control a new habit, one that serves your long-term goals, relationships, and overall well-being. Random fact: did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts? And they still manage to stay calm under pressure. Maybe we could learn something from them when it comes to emotional control. Now that you understand the why behind your emotional reactions, let's dive deeper into how you can harness this knowledge and take control. It's time to move forward and start mastering the space between stimulus and response. Chapter 3. The 4 levels of emotional mastery. Most people think of emotional control as an on/off switch. Either you're in control or you're not. But that kind of black and white thinking prevents you from realizing that emotional mastery exists on a spectrum. It's not a single skill you either have or don't. It's a set of progressive levels that you can gradually improve, one at a time. Let's break down these levels. By understanding them, you'll be able to see where you currently stand and, more importantly, what you need to do to level up your emotional mastery. Level 1. Unconscious reactivity. This is where most people live their lives, totally at the mercy of their emotions. At this level, you're completely unaware of how your emotions are affecting your decisions. When something triggers you, you instantly react without thinking. You get angry, and before you know it, you've fired off an email or snapped at someone. You feel anxious, so you avoid the situation altogether. You feel frustrated, so you shut down. The scary part is, you don't even realize you have a choice in how to respond. You believe that your feelings are facts, that your emotional reactions are justified, and that other people are responsible for how you feel. For example, you might think, "You made me angry," or "I just couldn't help how I felt." At this level, you have zero awareness of the gap between stimulus, what happens, and response, how you react. The biggest issue with level 1 is that you're unpredictable and unreliable. People never know which version of you they're going to get. One day you might be calm and reasonable, and the next, you might be explosive. This kind of unpredictability destroys trust in relationships and makes it difficult for others to count on you when the pressure's on. Level 2. Conscious reactivity. At this level, you've gained some awareness that you're having an emotional reaction. You recognize the emotions as they arise, but you're still controlled by them. You know you're angry, but you tell yourself, this situation justifies it. You know you're about to say something you'll regret, but in the heat of the moment, you do it anyway. At level 2, you see the gap between stimulus and response, but you choose not to use it. You often justify your reactions by focusing on the behavior of others, thinking things like, yeah, I lost my temper, but did you see what they did to me? This creates a frustrating cycle. You know better, but you still react. Then you feel guilty, promise to do better next time, and repeat the cycle. It's a bit of a trap. You get stuck in a loop of guilt, regret, and promises of change, but without the ability to consistently follow through. Level 3, conscious response. This is where the real transformation begins. At this level, you feel the emotion as it arises, but you don't let it control you. You've developed the skill to pause and reflect before you respond. For example, you might feel anger building up, but you choose to speak calmly. You might feel anxious, but you choose to take action anyway. You might feel frustrated, but instead of lashing out, you focus on finding a solution. You recognize that emotions are information, not instructions. You understand that just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. This level requires self-awareness and practice. You have to train yourself to pause, breathe, and then choose your response. It doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, you can master it. At this level, you no longer react impulsively. You make decisions based on your values, your goals, and your long-term vision. You've learned how to create space between what you feel and how you respond. The more you practice this, the more automatic it becomes. Level 4. Emotional alchemy. This is the highest level of emotional mastery, the ability to transform your emotions. At level 4, you no longer just control your emotions. You actually use them to fuel your success. For example, instead of just managing anger, you transform it into motivation. Instead of suppressing fear, you turn it into excitement. Instead of letting disappointment weigh you down, you transform it into curiosity and a desire to learn. This level requires a deep understanding of your emotional patterns. You no longer get overwhelmed by negative emotions. Instead, you can quickly reframe them into something productive. You've learned how to prevent negative emotions from arising in the first place by adjusting your thinking patterns, beliefs, and mental models. And when negative emotions do arise, you transform them into something useful. This isn't about ignoring or suppressing emotions. It's about developing such mastery over your emotional state that you can consciously choose what to feel. Moving through the levels, level 1 to level 2. The first step is simply recognizing that you're reacting. Awareness is the foundation of emotional mastery. Without it, you can't begin to control your emotions. Start by noticing when you're getting triggered and then pause. Level 2 to level 3. Once you become aware of your emotional reactions, you need to start deliberately choosing your response. It's no longer enough to just recognize the emotion. You need to take action and shift your focus to a more rational and strategic response. Level 3 to level 4. At this point, your emotional responses become purposeful and transformative. Instead of merely managing emotions, you'll use them as tools for personal growth, motivation, and success. You'll develop the ability to turn negative emotions into fuel for your goals. The path to mastery, the road from level 1 to level 4, is not linear. It's a journey of continuous improvement, not perfection. You might be at level 3 in some areas of your life and still at level 1 or 2 in others. But the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to keep leveling up. Each level represents a significant upgrade in your ability to create the life you want instead of just reacting to the life that happens to you. Random fact: Did you know that jellyfish don't have a brain, heart, or bones? Yet they've been around for over 500 million years. Kind of like emotions. They're ancient. They move us in strange ways, and sometimes we're left to navigate without a clear guide. But just like jellyfish, we can adapt and master our own course if we're willing to make the effort. Let's continue to build on this foundation and dive deeper into the methods and techniques that will help you master emotional control and transform your life. By the end of this audiobook, you'll have the tools and insights to become an emotional master in every situation. Chapter 4. The Stop Method for Immediate Emotional Control. By now, you understand the importance of mastering your emotions. But theory alone won't change anything. You need tools that work in the heat of the moment, when your emotions are running wild and your brain is trying to sabotage you. That's where the stop method comes in. The stop method is a powerful, simple technique you can use anytime you feel emotionally hijacked. It's designed to help you take immediate control, pause the emotional reaction, and regain clarity before you make decisions you'll regret. What is the STOP method? STOP stands for 4 simple, yet incredibly powerful actions that will ground you and reset your brain, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. 1. Stop. The first step is simple. Stop what you're doing. If you're in the middle of an argument, stop talking. If you're about to send that fiery email, take your hands off the keyboard. If you feel like you're about to explode, physically disengage from the situation. This physical stop sends a signal to your brain that you're taking control. It's like hitting the pause button. The key is to recognize the early warning signs that you're being triggered before you get fully swept away. Your body will give you clues. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, your thoughts start spinning. As soon as you feel those signs, that's your cue to stop. 2. Take a breath. The second step is to take a deep breath, but not just any breath. You're going to use box breathing, a technique used by Navy SEALs, athletes, and emergency responders to stay calm under extreme pressure. Here's how it works. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 4. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Why does this work? It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system responsible for calm and rest. When your body's in fight or flight mode, your sympathetic nervous system is activated, flooding you with stress hormones. But when you extend the exhale, you flip the switch, calming your body and helping you think clearly again. You may need to repeat this 3-5 times or even longer, depending on how intense the emotion is. Don't rush it. The goal isn't just to calm down enough to function, but to calm down enough to make a wise decision. 3. Observe. Now that you've stopped the emotional reaction and regulated your body, it's time to observe. This step is about awareness, taking a step back and objectively looking at what's happening, both internally and externally. Ask yourself, what emotion am I feeling? What thoughts are running through my mind? What physical sensations am I experiencing? What's actually happening in this situation? The key here is to separate facts from interpretations. Often, emotional reactions are based on our interpretations of events, not the events themselves. For example, someone doesn't respond to your text and you interpret that as rejection. But the truth is, they might just be busy. During this step, also observe your internal emotional state with curiosity, not judgment. Don't beat yourself up for having an emotional reaction. Just notice it. It's information, not a reflection of your character. Be curious about what's happening instead of reacting to it. 4. Proceed. Finally, it's time to proceed, but only after you've fully processed the situation. This step involves making a conscious choice about how to respond, based on your values, long-term goals, and the larger picture. Ask yourself, oh, what's my ultimate goal in this situation? Oh, how can I respond in a way that aligns with my values? Oh, what would the best version of me do right now? Sometimes the best course of action is to not respond immediately. If you're still too emotionally charged, it's okay to say, I need a moment to think about that, and walk away from the situation. Other times, you may choose to respond, but differently than you would have if you had reacted impulsively. Instead of escalating the conflict, you might ask questions to understand the other person's perspective. Instead of getting defensive, you might calmly express how you feel without attacking. The goal here is to respond strategically, from a place of calm and clarity, not from emotional impulsivity. Why the stop method works? The stop method works because it interrupts the automatic emotional response that your brain is primed to make. By physically stopping, you create a gap between stimulus and response, the space where your true power lies. In that space, you have the ability to pause, breathe, observe, and then respond with intent rather than react on autopilot. This method works in real time. No matter how fast your emotions start to take over, if you can just remember to stop, you can take back control of the situation before things spiral. When to use the stop method? You should use this method in any situation where emotions are running high. Here are some examples of when the stop method can make a big difference. At work, if you get a criticism that stings or feel angry during a meeting, use the stop method before you respond impulsively. In relationships, when you're about to argue or say something hurtful to a loved one, use the method to prevent saying things you'll regret. In high-pressure situations, when you're about to make a big decision under stress, whether it's a business deal, a public presentation, or a major life decision, stop first, breathe, and then proceed with clarity. When facing a crisis or difficult news, when you hear bad news or face an unexpected problem, use the stop method to manage the panic response and make a thoughtful decision. The beauty of this method is that it can be used in any emotionally charged situation, big or small. Getting comfortable with the stop method. The more you practice the stop method, the easier it will become to apply in real life. At first, you may only catch yourself after you've already reacted, but that's still progress. Eventually, you'll start to notice the emotional triggers before they fully take hold, and you'll be able to use the stop method instinctively. This method is a tool, not a magic bullet. Emotional control doesn't happen overnight, but if you commit to using the stop method regularly, it will become second nature. Random fact: did you know that pandas spend about 12 hours a day eating? They need all that bamboo to fuel their massive bodies. It's a good reminder to take things slowly and recharge. Just like pandas know how to care for themselves, we can use tools like the stop method to keep our emotional systems running smoothly. Chapter 5. Advanced Techniques for Emotional Regulation. Now that you've mastered the stop method, it's time to take your emotional control to the next level. While the stop method is incredibly powerful for managing immediate emotional reactions, true mastery involves advanced techniques that go beyond just stopping the emotional spiral. These techniques will help you fine-tune your emotional regulation, optimize your emotional state, and use your emotions strategically to perform at your best in any situation. Let's dive into these advanced techniques that will allow you to gain deeper control over your emotional landscape. Technique 1. Cognitive reframing. One of the most powerful tools in emotional regulation is cognitive reframing. This is the ability to consciously change the way you interpret a situation in order to change your emotional response to it. Most people believe that emotions are directly caused by external events, But the truth is that emotions are primarily the result of how we interpret those events. If you can change your interpretation, you can change your emotional experience. Here's how cognitive reframing works. Let's say you're giving a presentation and notice that a few people in the audience are on their phones. Your immediate interpretation might be that they're bored, that your presentation is terrible, and that you're failing. This triggers anxiety, embarrassment, and self-doubt. But what if you reframe the situation? Instead of thinking, "They're bored, I'm failing," you could think, "Maybe they're taking notes or looking up related information. Perhaps they're engaged and trying to learn more." Suddenly, the same external situation triggers entirely different emotions: confidence, calmness, and focus. Here's how to practice cognitive reframing. When you feel triggered by a situation, challenge yourself to come up with at least 3 different interpretations. One that's more positive, one that's more negative, and one that's neutral. This exercise shifts your perspective, making it easier to choose the interpretation that's most useful for your goals. The key to cognitive reframing is recognizing that your initial interpretation is often incomplete and sometimes inaccurate. By reframing, you don't have to change the external situation, you just change how you view it. And that shift in perception can significantly alter how you feel and respond. Technique 2. Emotional labeling. Another advanced technique is emotional labeling, becoming more precise in identifying and naming your emotions. Most people have a limited emotional vocabulary. They simply know they feel good or bad, happy or sad. But they don't distinguish between frustration and disappointment, anxiety and excitement, or anger and hurt. This lack of precision makes it harder to regulate emotions because you can't manage what you can't clearly identify. Emotional labeling works by activating your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, reducing the activity in the amygdala, which is responsible for the emotional fight or flight response. When you label an emotion precisely, you take away its power to overwhelm you, and it becomes more manageable. This mental step helps you separate the feeling from the reaction. Instead of being lost in your emotion, you create a space where you can choose your response more consciously. Here's how to practice emotional labeling. 1. Expand your emotional vocabulary. Don't just say, "I feel bad" or "I'm upset." Ask yourself, am I frustrated, disappointed, overwhelmed, anxious, or angry? 2. Try to name the feeling as accurately as possible. For example, if you're feeling overwhelmed, is it because you're feeling powerless or because you have too many responsibilities? The more specific you can be, the more you'll be able to regulate your emotions effectively. Studies show that people who regularly practice emotional labeling have lower stress levels, better decision-making abilities, and more effective emotional control. So next time you feel an emotion building, try naming it and see how it changes your ability to respond. Technique 3. Somatic regulation. Somatic regulation involves using your body to regulate your emotions rather than relying solely on your mind. Your emotional state and your physical state are intimately connected through your nervous system. When you're emotionally activated, your body is flooded with stress hormones that prepare you to take action. But if you don't release that physical energy, it stays trapped in your body, keeping you in a heightened emotional state. Somatic regulation techniques focus on using your body to shift your emotional state. By consciously changing your physical state, you can directly influence your emotional state. Here are some powerful somatic techniques to try. 1. Progressive muscle relaxation. Starting with your toes, tense each muscle group for 5 seconds, then release. Work your way up your body, focusing on the feeling of relaxation after each release. This technique helps discharge the physical energy that builds up during emotional activation, sending a signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax. 2. Cold exposure. Taking a cold shower, splashing cold water on your face, or even holding ice cubes in your hand can activate your vagus nerve, which calms your nervous system and helps shift you out of the fight or flight state. Cold exposure builds resilience and helps your body handle stress more effectively. 3. Movement and exercise. Physical movement, even a few minutes of vigorous activity, can help process the energy of emotional activation. When your body is in a state of stress, give it an outlet. This could be anything from a short walk to an intense workout. The movement helps reboot your nervous system, bringing you back to baseline. Technique 4. Timeline reframing. This technique is all about changing your perspective on time in order to reduce the emotional impact of current difficulties. When you're emotionally activated, your brain tends to catastrophize, thinking that the current problem will last forever or have permanent consequences. Timeline reframing works by helping you zoom out and put the situation into a long-term perspective. By asking yourself how you'll feel about this situation in the future, you reduce the emotional charge around it. Here's how to use timeline reframing. 1. When you're in the middle of a stressful situation, ask yourself, how will I feel about this in 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year? 2. This will help you see the situation for what it is, a temporary challenge, not a permanent catastrophe. 3. You can also reframe the situation by connecting it to your future self. Imagine how you'll feel 5 years from now, having successfully navigated this challenge. Ask, what would my future self tell me about how to handle this? This exercise helps you break free from short-term emotional reactions and gives you the space to focus on long-term solutions. Technique 5. Energy management. You have a limited amount of mental energy each day, and emotional regulation requires a significant portion of it. If you're constantly managing your emotions, eventually you'll experience decision fatigue and lose the ability to maintain control. Energy management means being strategic about when and where you expend your emotional regulation resources. Here's how to apply energy management. Avoid unnecessary emotional drainers. Don't waste your emotional energy on situations or people that aren't worth your time. Schedule emotional recovery. Make time for activities that recharge you, whether it's exercise, meditation, reading, or simply taking a break. Get enough sleep and nourish your body. Your emotional regulation system works best when your body is well rested and well nourished. Prioritize sleep, hydration, and good nutrition. Practice makes perfect. Emotional mastery doesn't happen overnight. These techniques require consistent practice, but the more you use them, the easier it will become to regulate your emotions. They're like any other skill, they get stronger with practice. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. Just keep practicing, and with time, emotional control will become second nature. Random fact: did you know that sloths only move about 40 yards per day? They've mastered the art of slow and steady, which is a great reminder that sometimes taking things slow can be the best way to keep your emotions in check. Let's continue building on these advanced tools as we move forward in this journey to emotional mastery. You're on the path to becoming a true emotional powerhouse, ready to handle anything life throws your way. Chapter 6. Building emotional resilience for long-term success. Now that you've learned techniques to manage your emotions in the moment, it's time to build something even more powerful: emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is your ability to bounce back from setbacks, navigate adversity, and thrive in difficult situations. It's about developing the mental and emotional strength to weather the storms of life without being shattered by them. Think of emotional resilience as the inner strength that allows you to handle challenges, disappointment, and failure without losing your sense of self or your ability to keep moving forward. What is emotional resilience? Emotional resilience is the ability to not just survive tough situations, but to actually become stronger because of them. It's not about avoiding stress or difficult emotions. It's about learning to embrace them, process them, and grow from the experience. Here's why emotional resilience is essential for success. It helps you maintain clarity and focus when facing adversity. It keeps you from shutting down or becoming paralyzed when things go wrong. It helps you learn from challenges rather than becoming discouraged or bitter. It boosts your mental toughness, allowing you to persevere when others might give up. Emotional resilience is the difference between being defeated by life's challenges and using those challenges to fuel your growth. The foundation of emotional resilience. Baseline optimization, just like physical fitness, requires regular training. Emotional resilience requires daily maintenance. You can't wait until you're in crisis to develop emotional resilience. You need to strengthen your emotional immune system when things are calm, so when life hits you with a challenge, you're ready to handle it. Baseline optimization is the process of maintaining your mental, emotional, and physical state at peak capacity so you can handle stress and challenges without breaking down. When your baseline is strong, you can face difficult situations with grace and composure. When your baseline is weak, even minor challenges can overwhelm you. Here's how to optimize your baseline. 1. Sleep. Sleep is the foundation of emotional resilience. When you don't get enough quality sleep, your brain doesn't have the time it needs to repair and restore itself. This makes it harder to regulate emotions and increases stress levels. Sleep isn't just about quantity, it's about quality. Dark, quiet rooms are essential for deep, restful sleep. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. Keep a consistent sleep schedule even on weekends. 2. Nutrition. What you eat has a huge impact on your emotional stability. Your brain runs on glucose, and when your blood sugar is unstable, so are your emotions. Eat protein with every meal to stabilize blood sugar. Consume omega-3 fatty acids to support brain health. Stay hydrated and avoid processed foods that trigger inflammation. 3. Exercise. Physical activity is a game changer for emotional resilience. Exercise not only improves physical health, but it also enhances your brain's ability to handle stress. Cardio builds stress tolerance. Strength training builds physical confidence and mental toughness. Activities like martial arts, yoga, or dancing help integrate mind and body, improving your emotional regulation. 4. Stress management. Stress management isn't just about managing big challenges. It's about learning how to manage small stressors too. Life is full of little moments of tension and pressure, and if you don't address these, they'll build up and drain your emotional reserves. Practice mindfulness or meditation to bring your mind back to the present moment. Take regular breaks throughout the day to reset. Find ways to decompress after long, stressful periods, such as reading, walking, or spending time in nature. Building cognitive flexibility. Cognitive flexibility is the ability to see situations from multiple perspectives and adapt your thinking when circumstances change. People with high cognitive flexibility can pivot when things aren't going as planned and find new solutions to problems. If you want to build resilience, you need to expand your thinking. Rigid thinking limits your ability to adapt to change. Here's how to build cognitive flexibility. 1. Expose yourself to new ideas. Read books or engage in conversations that challenge your worldview. Learning from different perspectives helps you expand your thinking and develop more flexible mental models. 2. Practice making decisions with incomplete information. Life rarely provides perfect answers. Learning to make decisions with uncertainty helps you become more comfortable with ambiguity and less emotionally reactive to unexpected outcomes. 3. Embrace failure. Instead of seeing failure as a threat, see it as a learning opportunity. The more comfortable you become with the idea of learning through mistakes, the more adaptable and resilient you'll become. Meaning making. The power of purpose. People who have a clear sense of meaning in their lives are far more resilient in the face of challenges. When you know why you're doing something, when you have a purpose, it's much easier to persevere through difficulties. Meaning making is the practice of connecting your daily actions and struggles to a larger sense of purpose. Reflect on your values. What matters most to you? Is it your family, your career, personal growth, or helping others? When you're clear on your values, it becomes easier to face setbacks without losing your sense of direction. Connect challenges to growth. When faced with adversity, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? When you align your daily actions with your deeper purpose, you'll find it easier to stay resilient in the face of stress. The role of social connection. Emotional resilience doesn't just come from within. It also depends on strong, supportive relationships. We're social creatures, and isolation can seriously drain your emotional reserves. The relationships you have matter deeply, and being around emotionally stable and supportive people helps you stay grounded and resilient. Here's how to build emotional resilience through social connection. 1. Invest in relationships that support you. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who model emotional maturity, and who bring out the best in you. 2. Minimize toxic relationships. If you're around people who are constantly negative or emotionally volatile, it'll drain your energy and make it harder to maintain emotional stability. 3. Build a support system. Whether it's family, friends, or colleagues, having a group of people you can rely on during tough times is essential for emotional resilience. Strategic stress exposure. The resilience workout, just like physical muscles, need to be gradually challenged to grow stronger. Your emotional resilience needs to be developed through strategic stress exposure. Controlled challenges help your emotional system adapt and strengthen over time. Here's how you can build resilience through strategic stress exposure. 1. Take on challenges that are slightly outside your comfort zone. Oh, this could be a challenging project at work, a difficult conversation with someone you care about, or learning a new skill. 2. Put yourself in mildly uncomfortable situations regularly. Oh, cold exposure, public speaking, or even taking on small risks in your personal or professional life help build emotional toughness. 3. Practice mindfulness during stressful situations. Oh, instead of avoiding discomfort, lean into it. Observe the stress, breathe through it, and let it pass without reacting. This practice builds emotional endurance. Over time, you'll notice that what once felt overwhelming becomes more manageable. Building resilience is a continuous process. Building emotional resilience is not something you can achieve overnight. It's a lifelong process of growth. Every day, you have the opportunity to strengthen your emotional resilience through consistent habits and mindful practices. And just like physical fitness, emotional resilience can become a habit. The more you practice, the easier it gets. As you continue to develop your emotional strength, you'll be able to face any challenge that comes your way with grace, confidence, and resilience. Random fact: Did you know that elephants can recognize themselves in a mirror, a sign of self-awareness? It's a reminder that awareness, whether of yourself or your emotional reactions, is the key to true resilience. Chapter 7. Creating your personal emotional operating system. Now that you've learned the techniques and practices to master your emotions in real time, it's time to create a system that keeps your emotional control consistent and automatic in every aspect of your life. This is where we move beyond just reacting to emotions in the moment and begin to proactively shape the emotional framework that runs in the background of your life. Just like a computer has an operating system that governs its functions automatically, you can create an emotional operating system that manages your emotional responses seamlessly, making emotional mastery a natural part of who you are. This chapter is about creating a personal emotional operating system, EOS, that works for you, one that aligns with your values, goals, and long-term vision. With this system, you'll have a structured approach to emotional regulation, which will help you stay resilient, consistent, and calm, no matter what life throws at you. The components of your emotional operating system. To create a reliable emotional operating system, you'll need to build several core components that work together. These components are the foundation of your emotional resilience, allowing you to manage your emotions automatically and ensure that they align with your goals and values. 1. Your daily emotional fitness routine. Just as you wouldn't expect to be in top physical shape without consistent exercise, you can't expect to master your emotions without a daily practice. This routine doesn't have to be long or complex. It just needs to be consistent. Your daily emotional fitness routine might include mindfulness or meditation. Spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes each morning checking in with yourself emotionally. This helps you reset and become aware of any tension, stress, or emotional blockages you might be holding. Breathing exercises. Use techniques like box breathing or deep belly breathing to ground yourself and regulate your nervous system. Journaling or reflection. Spend a few minutes each day reflecting on the emotions you experienced and how you handled them. Did you react or respond? What can you learn from today's emotional patterns? Consistency is key. Even a small daily practice can significantly improve your emotional control over time. 2. Environmental design for emotional success. Your environment plays a huge role in your emotional state. If you're constantly surrounded by chaotic people or negative media, it will be hard to maintain emotional control. This is where environmental design comes into play. To optimize your environment for emotional success, you need to consider what you consume. Audit the content you take in every day. Are you exposed to toxic social media, news, or environments that increase stress or negativity? If so, limit your exposure. Instead, curate your media diet to include positive, uplifting, and educational content that helps you grow emotionally. Your physical space. Your surroundings should help calm your mind, not add to your stress. Organize your space in a way that supports tranquility, such as minimizing clutter, creating calm spaces, or using elements like plants, candles, or soft lighting to promote peace. Your social environment. Spend time with people who support your emotional growth. Surround yourself with individuals who model emotional maturity and can help you stay grounded during difficult times. 3. Trigger identification and response planning. Every one of us has specific emotional triggers, certain people, situations, or events that set us off. To create an effective emotional operating system, you need to identify these triggers and have specific response plans in place for when they arise. Here's how to create your trigger response plan. Track your triggers. Keep a journal for a few weeks, noting the situations or events that cause emotional reactions. What happened? How did you feel? What did you do? Were there patterns? Plan your responses. For each trigger, develop a calm, rational response. This could be using the stop method, breathing exercises, or taking a break before engaging. Having a pre-planned response will prevent you from reacting impulsively and help you stay aligned with your long-term goals. Prepare for unexpected triggers. Life is unpredictable. Sometimes triggers will come from nowhere. The key is to have a general strategy in place, such as the stop method or timeouts to regain composure before responding. 4. Recovery protocols. Even with the best emotional systems in place, life will still throw challenges your way. You'll have moments where you lose emotional control, get overwhelmed, or become emotionally drained. This is normal. What matters is having a recovery protocol to help you restore your emotional balance. Your recovery protocol should include immediate recovery. After an emotional outburst, take time to de-escalate. Use techniques like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or a quick walk to calm your nervous system. Short-term recovery. After a stressful day or emotional setback, engage in activities that replenish your emotional reserves, such as listening to soothing music, reading, or spending time with loved ones. Long-term recovery. Regularly schedule activities that help you maintain emotional balance over time, such as taking vacations, practicing gratitude, or going on regular retreats. These activities allow you to recharge, ensuring that your emotional system doesn't burn out. 5. Accountability and measurement systems. To ensure that your emotional operating system stays effective, you need a way to measure your progress and keep yourself accountable. Self-assessment. Every week, take a few minutes to assess how well you've maintained emotional control. Were there situations where you handled things well? What areas do you need to improve? Objective tracking. Consider using a 1-10 scale to rate your emotional control each day or week. For example, how well did you handle stress, frustration, or disappointment? Keep track of your ratings over time to notice trends and make improvements. Accountability partners. Share your emotional growth goals with a friend, mentor, or coach who can help you stay on track. Having someone check in on your progress and provide feedback can significantly enhance your growth. 6. Continuous learning and adaptation. Your emotional operating system is not something you set and forget. It needs to evolve as you grow and face new challenges. Your system should be flexible and adaptable to your changing needs. Regularly review your system. Every few months, take a step back and review how well your emotional operating system is working. Is it still serving your goals? Do you need to update your response strategies or trigger plans? Embrace new techniques. As you grow, you may come across new tools or methods that help you improve your emotional regulation. Always stay open to learning and adapting your system to fit your current needs. The power of a personal emotional operating system. Building a personal emotional operating system may sound like a lot of work, but in reality, it's about creating a framework that ensures you're equipped to handle the emotional ups and downs of life without losing control. With the right system in place, emotional control won't feel like a constant battle. It will become a habit that you rely on to make clear-headed decisions, stay calm in stressful situations, and maintain healthy relationships. Random fact: did you know that hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly backwards? Just like them, adapting and adjusting to the current flow of life, no matter how fast or unpredictable, can make you more resilient and versatile. Chapter 8. Advanced applications in high-stakes environments. Now that you've created your personal emotional operating system, it's time to take your emotional mastery to the highest level. In this chapter, We'll dive into the high-stakes environments where your emotional control will be put to the ultimate test. These are the situations where failure isn't just inconvenient, it can be life-altering. Whether it's a career-defining moment, a critical negotiation, or a crisis that could derail everything you've worked for, how you manage your emotions in these moments will determine your success. What are high-stakes environments? High-stakes environments are any situations where the consequences of failure are significant, immediate, and potentially irreversible. They're the situations where there is no room for emotional volatility or impulsivity. These environments might include career-critical moments, presenting to an important audience, making a pitch, or handling high-level negotiations. Crisis situations, when everything goes wrong and you need to act quickly and effectively. Performance under pressure, competing at a high level, whether in sports, business, or any situation where people are watching you. Dealing with difficult people, handling aggressive or manipulative individuals when the stakes are high. In these environments, emotional reactions, like anger, fear, or anxiety, can cloud your judgment, impair your decision-making, and create negative outcomes. So, how do you thrive in these environments? By preparing yourself emotionally, so that when the pressure is on, you don't buckle under the weight of the situation. Key principles for high-stakes emotional mastery. There are a few core principles that will help you thrive under pressure and succeed when everything's on the line. These principles don't just apply in one-time situations. They can be cultivated and practiced over time to help you consistently rise to the occasion, no matter what. 1. Pressure is internal, not external. The first key to performing well under pressure is understanding that pressure comes from within. The situation itself may be challenging, but it's your interpretation of the situation that turns it into pressure. Two people can face the same high-stakes scenario. One may experience intense anxiety and crumble, while the other remains calm and collected. The difference? The way they frame the situation in their minds. The person who thrives under pressure focuses on what they can control, their actions, their response, and their ability to handle the challenge. Instead of saying, "This is terrible, I can't handle this," reframe the situation with empowering thoughts like, "This is exactly what I've been preparing for. I'm ready for this challenge. This is an opportunity to prove my skills." The key is to shift your narrative from pressure to opportunity. 2. Stress inoculation. Training your nervous system. Stress inoculation is the process of exposing yourself to controlled amounts of stress so that your nervous system becomes more resilient over time. Just like how a vaccine works by introducing small doses of a pathogen to strengthen your immune system, stress inoculation works by gradually increasing your exposure to stressful situations. You can practice stress inoculation in several ways. Cold exposure. Take cold showers or plunge into cold water. It forces your body to adapt to stress and improves your emotional response to adversity. High-intensity exercise. Engage in demanding physical activities that challenge your body and mind. Pushing yourself physically helps you become more mentally resilient. Public speaking. Regularly practice speaking in front of others, even if it's just a small group. It helps you deal with performance anxiety and teaches you how to stay calm under pressure. Over time, these controlled stressors will train your emotional system so that when real pressure situations arise, you're ready to handle them. 3. Laser focus. Mastering attention management under high pressure. Your mind can become scattered, jumping between worst-case scenarios, self-doubt, and potential outcomes. This distracted thinking is the enemy of clear decision-making. The solution is laser focus, the ability to block out all distractions and concentrate entirely on the task at hand. Here's how to develop laser focus. Practice in low-pressure situations. Start by setting a timer for 10 minutes and focus completely on a single task. No checking your phone, no distractions, just pure focus. Use a single-task approach. Focus on the immediate next step, not on everything you need to do. This keeps your attention grounded and prevents overwhelm. Practice mindfulness. During stressful moments, take a deep breath and refocus your attention on the task. Tune out any irrelevant distractions and zero in on the next thing you need to do. When the stakes are high, it's not about being able to handle everything all at once. It's about being able to handle one thing at a time with unwavering focus. 4. Emotional granularity. Knowing exactly what you feel when stress is high, emotions tend to feel vague and overwhelming. A mix of anxiety, frustration, fear, and sometimes even excitement. This broad emotional experience makes it harder to make clear-headed decisions. That's where emotional granularity comes in. The ability to identify exactly what you're feeling and label it specifically. For example, instead of saying, "I'm nervous," try saying, "I feel anxious because I don't know what's going to happen. I feel excited because this is a big opportunity. I feel frustrated because things aren't moving as quickly as I'd like." Being able to identify and label your emotions allows you to manage them better. You can address each emotion individually and respond with clarity, instead of being swept away by a tidal wave of undefined feelings. 5. Focus on process, not outcome. Most people under pressure get fixated on the outcome, whether they're going to win, succeed, or be judged negatively. This fixation only increases stress and distracts from what really matters, the process. The key to staying calm under pressure is to focus on the specific actions you need to take right now, not the potential result. For example, in a high-stakes presentation, focus on delivering the next sentence or responding to the next question. In a high-pressure meeting, focus on listening and engaging rather than obsessing over the final outcome. When you focus on the process, the outcome becomes a natural byproduct of your actions, rather than something to be feared. Applying emotional mastery in high-stakes situations. To apply these techniques in real-life high-stakes environments, you need to practice them regularly in lower-pressure situations. Just like building any skill, emotional mastery requires consistent practice. The more you use these techniques in everyday situations, the more automatic they will become when the stakes are high. Here's how to apply what you've learned in high-pressure moments. 1. Reframe your thinking. When faced with a high-stakes situation, tell yourself, "This is an opportunity to show my skills," instead of "I can't handle this." 2. Inoculate yourself with stress. Take cold showers, practice public speaking, or engage in high-intensity exercise to prepare your body for emotional challenges. 3. Focus on one task. When everything feels overwhelming, bring your attention to the immediate next step. Take a deep breath and re-engage your focus. 4. Label your emotions. Know exactly what you're feeling, whether it's anxiety, excitement, or fear, and address it directly. 5. Trust the process. Instead of worrying about the outcome, focus on executing the task at hand with your best effort. Random fact: did you know that octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood? It's a reminder that sometimes the unexpected can be what makes you resilient, and mastering your emotions in high-pressure situations makes you the same. Adaptable, powerful, and unshakable. Now that you've built your emotional resilience and have the tools to manage pressure, it's time to apply these practices to build unshakable confidence. In the next chapter, we'll explore how emotional mastery can unlock a confidence that's indestructible. Chapter 9. Transforming negative emotions into fuel for success in the journey of emotional mastery. One of the most powerful skills you can develop is the ability to transform negative emotions into fuel for success. Most people view negative emotions, like anger, fear, anxiety, and frustration, as something to be avoided or suppressed. However, the truth is that these emotions contain an incredible amount of energy and information that, when channeled correctly, can be driving forces for your personal and professional growth. In this chapter, you'll learn how to harness the power of negative emotions to propel you forward rather than letting them hold you back. The secret is to stop seeing them as obstacles and start viewing them as indicators of what matters most to you. Once you do this, you'll realize that negative emotions don't have to derail your progress. They can actually accelerate your journey. Understanding negative emotions as messengers, negative emotions are not the enemy. They are messengers. Every time you feel anger, fear, or frustration, your brain is trying to tell you something about your environment, your values, and your goals. These emotions exist for a reason. They signal that something important is happening and that your attention is required. Here's how different negative emotions can give you valuable information. Anger indicates that something you care about has been threatened, violated, or is out of alignment with your values. Fear signals that you are facing uncertainty or potential loss, but also points to opportunities or areas where growth is possible. Anxiety shows that you are anticipating something important, but often also reflects a fear of failure or a lack of confidence. Frustration occurs when something is blocking you from reaching your goal, which gives you an opportunity to figure out what's in your way and how to overcome it. Instead of trying to eliminate these emotions, embrace them as powerful tools. By understanding the messages behind these feelings, you can take action that moves you toward your desired outcome. Transforming anger into motivation. Anger is one of the most misunderstood and mismanaged emotions. Most people either explode with anger, creating chaos, or suppress it, allowing it to build up until it erupts later. Both of these approaches waste the enormous energy that anger contains. The key to transforming anger is to separate the emotion from the target. Instead of directing your anger at the person or situation that triggered it, you can redirect that energy toward constructive action. Here's how you can turn anger into motivation. Identify the cause. Ask yourself, what am I angry about? Is it a personal violation, a missed opportunity, an unmet need? Focus on your values. Recognize that anger often stems from something that matters to you. What's important about this situation? Use the energy to take action. Rather than lashing out, use the energy of your anger to take immediate action on your goals. Channel that frustration into problem solving or pushing through obstacles that stand in your way. Some of the most successful people in history used anger as fuel to achieve extraordinary results. Entrepreneurs built billion-dollar companies because they were angry about unsolved problems. Activists changed the world because they were angry about injustice. Anger, when properly redirected, becomes a powerful engine for change. Turning fear into courage. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty. And in the past, it was a survival mechanism that kept us alive by alerting us to potential threats. In modern life, fear often shows up as a barrier to growth, causing us to avoid risk, shy away from opportunities, or hesitate when we need to act. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to take action despite fear. Fear actually serves a valuable purpose in guiding us to what matters most. Here's how to turn fear into courage. 1. Acknowledge the fear. Instead of pretending it doesn't exist, acknowledge it. Fear is often rooted in the unknown, so giving it a name helps you see that it's not something you need to run from. 2. Ask, What's the worst that could happen? Fear often inflates the potential dangers. When you break it down, you'll realize that the worst-case scenario is often manageable. Once you've confronted the worst-case scenario, the fear loses its grip over you. 3. Use fear as a compass. Fear points to what you care about. If something scares you, it probably means there's something worth pursuing on the other side. Use your fear as a sign that you're moving toward growth. By facing your fears head-on, you build resilience and confidence in your ability to handle whatever challenges come your way. Harnessing anxiety for better preparation. Anxiety is a common response when you're about to face an important event or decision. But instead of letting it paralyze you, anxiety can be turned into preparation. When you feel anxious, it's often because you're anticipating something that matters deeply to you. Use that energy to prepare. Whether you're facing a presentation, a test, or a job interview, anxiety often signals that you care about the outcome. Here's how to turn anxiety into productive action. 1. Acknowledge your feelings. Recognize that anxiety is natural before a big moment. It's your body's way of alerting you to the importance of the situation. 2. Use anxiety as a prompt to prepare. Instead of avoiding the source of your anxiety, channel it into productive actions. Study harder for your test, practice your speech, or review the key points of your meeting. Preparation is the antidote to anxiety. 3. Visualize success. Take a few moments to visualize yourself succeeding in the situation that's causing anxiety. This helps shift your focus from what could go wrong to what will go right. By transforming anxiety into preparation, you equip yourself with the tools you need to succeed. Turning frustration into determination. Frustration often arises when things aren't going as planned, and obstacles are standing in your way. It can make you feel stuck, overwhelmed, and ready to quit. But frustration is also a sign that you care about the outcome and that you're invested in achieving your goal. To turn frustration into determination. 1. Identify what's in your way. Frustration signals that something is blocking your progress. Pinpoint the obstacle and focus on what you can do to overcome it. 2. Shift your mindset. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" change your perspective to, "What can I learn from this?" See the challenge as an opportunity to build resilience and problem-solving skills. 3. Push forward with determination. Frustration can fuel your desire to keep going. Use it to push past your limits, get creative with solutions, and keep moving toward your goals. Putting it all together. The art of emotional alchemy, the process of transforming negative emotions into fuel for success, is what I call emotional alchemy. It's the art of taking raw, often chaotic emotional energy and turning it into something productive and powerful. To become a true emotional alchemist, follow these steps. Acknowledge your emotions without judgment. Extract the valuable energy they offer. Channel that energy into action that aligns with your long-term goals. By learning to transform negative emotions into positive action, you become not only more emotionally resilient, but also more empowered and motivated to reach your greatest potential. Random fact: did you know that pine trees can survive in harsh climates by turning their needles into mini solar panels? In the same way, you can turn your negative emotions into sources of strength and growth, embracing life's challenges and using them to become stronger. Chapter 10. Building Unshakable Confidence Through Emotional Mastery. Welcome to one of the most powerful and transformative chapters in this journey toward emotional mastery. Now that you've developed the tools to control your emotions, reframe negative feelings, and use them as fuel for success, it's time to shift your focus to confidence. The unshakable kind that allows you to face any challenge, take on any task, and walk through life with the certainty that you can handle whatever comes your way. True confidence isn't about being arrogant or thinking that you're invincible. It's about having the inner strength to navigate life's ups and downs with calm assurance, trusting that you can figure things out and that you have the emotional tools to thrive under any circumstances. In this chapter, we're going to explore how emotional mastery serves as the foundation for unshakable confidence. Confidence that doesn't waver in the face of adversity. This isn't about pretending to be confident or faking it until you make it. It's about developing real, deep-rooted confidence based on your ability to manage your emotions and stay centered in any situation. What is true confidence? True confidence isn't a flashy personality trait. It's the quiet inner knowing that you can handle anything life throws at you. It's not the absence of doubt, fear, or anxiety, but the ability to act despite them. Real confidence comes from emotional mastery, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the ability to stay grounded, make wise decisions, and move forward with clarity and purpose. Here's what true confidence looks like. You stay calm under pressure without being paralyzed by fear or anxiety. You take action even when things are uncertain because you trust your ability to figure things out. You're able to receive feedback, criticism, or failure without letting it destroy your self-esteem or derail your goals. You know your worth and don't seek validation from others to feel good about yourself. This inner certainty is what separates the people who thrive from those who crumble under pressure. And it all begins with emotional mastery. The 4 pillars of unshakable confidence. Unshakable confidence isn't built overnight. It's developed over time through consistent practice and a deep understanding of how to manage your emotions in every situation. To help you build this kind of confidence, we'll focus on 4 core pillars. 1. Emotional self-reliance. 2. Competence building. 3. Integrity alignment. 4. Resilience building. Each of these pillars plays a crucial role in creating a foundation that is solid and unbreakable, one that allows you to remain confident regardless of external circumstances. 1. Emotional self-reliance. Trusting yourself to manage your emotions. The first pillar of unshakable confidence is emotional self-reliance. This means that you no longer depend on external validation, the approval of others, external achievements, or even the absence of emotional turbulence to feel good about yourself. True confidence comes from knowing that your emotional state isn't dependent on external circumstances. You trust that you have the tools to manage your emotions no matter what happens. Here's how to build emotional self-reliance. Develop emotional awareness. Regularly check in with yourself and be mindful of your emotional state. You can't manage what you're not aware of. Practice emotional regulation. Use the emotional tools you've learned, like the STOP method, reframing, and breathwork, to control your emotional responses instead of being controlled by them. Self-validation. Develop the ability to validate yourself. Recognize your own worth without needing approval or praise from others. When you become emotionally self-reliant, you no longer let your emotional state control you. Instead, you become the master of your emotions, and this control gives you confidence in your ability to handle anything life throws your way. 2. Competence building. The key to feeling truly capable confidence is built on competence. The more skilled, knowledgeable, and capable you feel, the more confident you will be in your ability to handle challenges. When you develop your competence in various areas of life, whether it's work, relationships, or personal growth, you build real confidence that's grounded in your ability to perform under pressure. Here's how to build competence. Set clear goals and work toward achieving them. Start with small, achievable goals and gradually increase the difficulty. Invest in self-improvement. Take courses, read books, attend seminars, anything that increases your knowledge and expertise. Embrace challenges. Don't shy away from difficult situations. The more you push yourself, the more competent and confident you'll become. Competence and confidence go hand in hand. The more you develop your abilities and hone your skills, the more you'll trust yourself to succeed. 3. Integrity alignment. Living according to your values. Another essential pillar of confidence is integrity alignment. Integrity means being true to your values, aligning your actions with your beliefs, and living authentically. When your values, words, and actions are in harmony, you feel strong and centered, and that's a major boost to your confidence. How to build integrity alignment. Know your core values. Spend time reflecting on what matters most to you. Is it honesty, family, growth, or creativity? Once you know your core values, you can make decisions that align with them. Act with consistency. Be consistent in your actions. Follow through on your commitments and make sure your words match your behavior. Be authentic. Don't try to be someone you're not. Embrace who you are and show up as your true self in all situations. When your integrity is intact, you don't second-guess yourself or feel insecure about your decisions. You are clear on who you are and what you stand for, and that clarity breeds confidence. 4. Resilience building. Turning adversity into strength. The final pillar of unshakable confidence is resilience. Resilience is your ability to bounce back from setbacks, learn from failures, and keep going even when things get tough. The more resilient you become, the stronger your confidence will be. How to build resilience. Embrace failure as feedback. See every failure as an opportunity to learn, rather than as a reflection of your worth. Ask, what can I learn from this? Practice emotional recovery. Use the recovery protocols we've discussed to bounce back from emotional setbacks quickly. Build a strong support network. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and help you stay resilient when life gets tough. The more you practice bouncing back from adversity, the stronger and more confident you will become. Resilience is a skill that gets stronger the more you use it, and once you have it, you'll feel like you can handle anything life throws at you. The feedback loop of confidence. Once you start practicing emotional self-reliance, competence building, integrity alignment, and resilience, a feedback loop is created. The more confident you become, the more you'll challenge yourself to take on bigger opportunities. The more you challenge yourself, the more competent and resilient you'll become, which only makes your confidence stronger. This cycle continues to grow exponentially, making your confidence unstoppable. And when you reach this level of mastery, you'll not only be unshakable in the face of challenges, but you'll inspire others to develop the same level of confidence within themselves. Random fact: did you know that trees can communicate through an underground network of roots and fungi? They share nutrients and warn each other of danger. This shows how interconnected we all are and how building each other up strengthens us all. When you build your unshakable confidence, you become a beacon of strength for others, just like those trees. Next, we'll look at how to apply emotional leadership and influence in your personal and professional life, taking your confidence to the next level and becoming a source of inspiration for everyone around you. Chapter 11. The Art of Strategic Non-Reaction in Relationships. Now that you've mastered emotional self-reliance and built unshakable confidence, it's time to apply your emotional mastery in the most important areas of your life. Your relationships. Relationships are where emotional control truly matters because these are the spaces where our reactions can either strengthen bonds or create conflict. The ability to strategically choose how you react, or choose not to react at all, can completely transform your relationships, whether they're personal, professional, or romantic. This chapter will show you how to use strategic non-reaction to create peace and connect deeper with others, even in the most emotionally charged situations. Why non-reaction is a superpower in relationships. In any relationship, emotions run high. It's easy to react impulsively when we feel threatened, disrespected, or misunderstood. But reacting impulsively is often destructive. Reacting emotionally can lead to arguments, misunderstandings, and damage that takes days, weeks, or even years to repair. Strategic non-reaction is the ability to stay calm and choose how to respond to someone else's emotional state instead of getting swept up in it. It's about maintaining your composure and focusing on the relationship rather than your immediate emotional impulses. By practicing non-reaction, you prevent the situation from escalating and allow space for clarity and understanding. Non-reaction isn't about suppressing emotions or avoiding confrontation. It's about choosing a calm, thoughtful response over an immediate emotional outburst. Here's why strategic non-reaction is so powerful. It shows strength. You're not controlled by your emotions or the emotions of others. It promotes peace. You break the cycle of reactive behaviors that can escalate conflicts. It builds trust. People trust you more when they know you can stay calm and handle tough situations with grace. It models emotional maturity. By not reacting, you set a positive example for others to follow. Strategic non-reaction doesn't mean inaction. It means you are choosing not to react impulsively, but instead to respond consciously. The principles of strategic non-reaction now. Let's break down the key principles that will help you master the art of strategic non-reaction in your relationships. 1. Every interaction is a choice between connection and control. In moments of tension or conflict, you have a choice to make. Do you choose connection or control? When you react emotionally, whether by defending yourself, raising your voice, or shutting down, you're choosing control. You're trying to win the argument or prove you're right. But when you choose non-reaction, you're choosing connection. You're prioritizing the relationship over your need to be right. In every conflict, ask yourself, what's more important in this moment? Winning the argument or preserving the relationship? Am I trying to control this person's behavior, or am I choosing to connect with them instead? By choosing connection, you can create space for empathy, understanding, and resolution, rather than letting the situation spiral into defensiveness and anger. 2. Take responsibility for your 50% of the interaction. One of the keys to emotional mastery in relationships is taking full responsibility for your actions, especially in moments of conflict. No matter what someone else does, you have control over your own response. People often try to control or change the other person's behavior when they're upset. But the reality is, you can't control others. You can only control your own actions. When you focus on what you can control, you become a calming force rather than contributing to the emotional chaos. Here's how to take responsibility for your part of the interaction. Own your emotions. Recognize that your feelings are your responsibility. You can't blame someone else for how you feel. Change your behavior. If you've contributed to the situation by reacting emotionally, take a step back and choose a better response next time. Focus on your response, not their behavior. Don't try to change their response. Focus on controlling your own. When you focus on managing your 50%, you stop being reactive and start being proactive in your relationships. 3. De-escalate rather than escalate. Most people's natural instinct when faced with conflict is to match the other person's energy. They raise their voice, so you raise yours. They get defensive, so you get defensive. This creates a negative feedback loop that only intensifies the situation. The power of non-reaction lies in your ability to lower the emotional temperature and de-escalate. Instead of feeding into the emotional intensity, you bring calmness to the situation. Here's how to de-escalate a tense situation. Stay calm. If they raise their voice, speak more quietly. Calmness is contagious. Become more curious. When someone gets defensive or critical, become more curious. Ask questions to understand their perspective. Give space. If the person is overwhelmed or upset, sometimes the best thing you can do is give them some space to process their emotions. De-escalation isn't about avoiding the conflict. It's about handling it in a way that keeps the dialogue open and constructive. 4. Separate the person from their behavior when we're emotionally triggered. It's easy to generalize and think that the person's behavior reflects who they are as a whole. For example, if your partner says something hurtful, you might think, "They're a bad person," or "They don't care about me." But this only leads to misunderstanding and resentment. Strategic non-reaction involves separating the person from their behavior. This means recognizing that people are not their actions. They may be acting out of stress, insecurity, or emotional turmoil. When you separate their behavior from their character, you can respond with wisdom rather than reacting with anger or hurt. Here's how to apply this principle. Focus on the behavior, not the person. Instead of thinking, "They're always inconsiderate," focus on the specific action that hurt you. This helps you address the behavior without attacking the person. Empathy. Try to understand why they might be acting this way. Are they stressed, tired, or dealing with something difficult? By separating the person from their behavior, you can respond in a way that preserves the relationship and supports resolution. 5. Master the pause in emotionally charged situations. The pause is your superpower. The moment you feel triggered, there's a split second before you react. This is where your power lies. When you pause, even just for a second, you give yourself the space to choose how you want to respond, rather than reacting automatically. Here's how to master the pause. Take a deep breath. When you feel the urge to react, take a deep breath and count to 3. This will help you regain control of your emotions. Use non-reactive phrases. If you're not sure how to respond, simply say, "Let me think about that," or "I'll get back to you." This buys you time to process the situation and respond thoughtfully. Step away if necessary. If the situation is too heated, don't be afraid to step away for a moment to cool down. The pause is where you can consciously choose to remain calm, collect your thoughts, and choose the best course of action. Non-reaction as a relationship superpower. Mastering strategic non-reaction in your relationships allows you to maintain control during emotional conflicts, build trust, and foster deeper connections. This skill enables you to handle even the most volatile situations with grace and wisdom, making you a powerful force for peace and resolution in your personal and professional life. When you can remain calm and composed, others will naturally gravitate toward you for support, guidance, and stability. You become a source of strength, a person others can rely on when things get tough. Random fact. Did you know that wolves howl to communicate over long distances? Their howls can reach 10 miles in the wild. Just like wolves, your emotional communication, whether through calm responses or strategic non-reaction, can resonate far and wide, creating ripples of peace in the chaos. Next, let's explore how to lead with emotional mastery in the workplace and beyond, using your newfound emotional intelligence to inspire and influence others. 1. Emotional self-reliance. Trusting yourself to manage your emotions. The first pillar of unshakable confidence is emotional self-reliance. This means that you no longer depend on external validation. the approval of others, external achievements, or even the absence of emotional turbulence, to feel good about yourself. True confidence comes from knowing that your emotional state isn't dependent on external circumstances. You trust that you have the tools to manage your emotions no matter what happens. Here's how to build emotional self-reliance. Develop emotional awareness. Regularly check in with yourself and be mindful of your emotional state. You can't manage what you're not aware of. Practice emotional regulation. Use the emotional tools you've learned, like the STOP method, reframing, and breathwork, to control your emotional responses instead of being controlled by them. Self-validation. Develop the ability to validate yourself. Recognize your own worth without needing approval or praise from others. When you become emotionally self-reliant, you no longer let your emotional state control you. Instead, you become the master of your emotions, and this control gives you confidence in your ability to handle anything life throws your way. 2. Competence building. The key to feeling truly capable confidence is built on competence. The more skilled, knowledgeable, and capable you feel, the more confident you will be in your ability to handle challenges. When you develop your competence in various areas of life, whether it's work, relationships, or personal growth, you build real confidence that's grounded in your ability to perform under pressure. Here's how to build competence. Set clear goals and work toward achieving them. Start with small, achievable goals and gradually increase the difficulty. Invest in self-improvement. Take courses, read books, attend seminars, anything that increases your knowledge and expertise. Embrace challenges. Don't shy away from difficult situations. The more you push yourself, the more competent and confident you'll become. Competence and confidence go hand in hand. The more you develop your abilities and hone your skills, the more you'll trust yourself to succeed. 3. Integrity alignment. Living according to your values. Another essential pillar of confidence is integrity alignment. Integrity means being true to your values, aligning your actions with your beliefs, and living authentically. When your values, words, and actions are in harmony, you feel strong and centered, and that's a major boost to your confidence. How to build integrity alignment. Know your core values. Spend time reflecting on what matters most to you. Is it honesty, family, growth, or creativity? Once you know your core values, you can make decisions that align with them. Act with consistency. Be consistent in your actions. Follow through on your commitments and make sure your words match your behavior. Be authentic. Don't try to be someone you're not. Embrace who you are and show up as your true self in all situations. When your integrity is intact, you don't second-guess yourself or feel insecure about your decisions. You are clear on who you are and what you stand for, and that clarity breeds confidence. 4. Resilience building. Turning adversity into strength. The final pillar of unshakable confidence is resilience. Resilience is your ability to bounce back from setbacks, learn from failures, and keep going even when things get tough. The more resilient you become, the stronger your confidence will be. How to build resilience. Embrace failure as feedback. See every failure as an opportunity to learn, rather than as a reflection of your worth. Ask, what can I learn from this? Practice emotional recovery. Use the recovery protocols we've discussed to bounce back from emotional setbacks quickly. Build a strong support network. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and help you stay resilient when life gets tough. The more you practice bouncing back from adversity, the stronger and more confident you will become. Resilience is a skill that gets stronger the more you use it, and once you have it, you'll feel like you can handle anything life throws at you. The feedback loop of confidence. Once you start practicing emotional self-reliance, competence building, integrity alignment, and resilience, a feedback loop is created. The more confident you become, the more you'll challenge yourself to take on bigger opportunities. The more you challenge yourself, the more competent and resilient you'll become, which only makes your confidence stronger. This cycle continues to grow exponentially, making your confidence unstoppable. And when you reach this level of mastery, you'll not only be unshakable in the face of challenges, but you'll inspire others to develop the same level of confidence within themselves. Random fact: did you know that trees can communicate through an underground network of roots and fungi? They share nutrients and warn each other of danger. This shows how interconnected we all are and how building each other up strengthens us all. When you build your unshakable confidence, you become a beacon of strength for others, just like those trees. Next, we'll look at how to apply emotional leadership and influence in your personal and professional life, taking your confidence to the next level and becoming a source of inspiration for everyone around you. Chapter 11. The Art of Strategic Non-Reaction in Relationships. Now that you've mastered emotional self-reliance and built unshakable confidence, it's time to apply your emotional mastery in the most important areas of your life. Your relationships. Relationships are where emotional control truly matters because these are the spaces where our reactions can either strengthen bonds or create conflict. The ability to strategically choose how you react, or choose not to react at all, can completely transform your relationships, whether they're personal, professional, or romantic. This chapter will show you how to use strategic non-reaction to create peace and connect deeper with others, even in the most emotionally charged situations. Why non-reaction is a superpower in relationships. In any relationship, emotions run high. It's easy to react impulsively when we feel threatened, disrespected, or misunderstood. But reacting impulsively is often destructive. Reacting emotionally can lead to arguments, misunderstandings, and damage that takes days, weeks, or even years to repair. Strategic non-reaction is the ability to stay calm and choose how to respond to someone else's emotional state instead of getting swept up in it. It's about maintaining your composure and focusing on the relationship rather than your immediate emotional impulses. By practicing non-reaction, you prevent the situation from escalating and allow space for clarity and understanding. Non-reaction isn't about suppressing emotions or avoiding confrontation. It's about choosing a calm, thoughtful response over an immediate emotional outburst. Here's why strategic non-reaction is so powerful. It shows strength. You're not controlled by your emotions or the emotions of others. It promotes peace. You break the cycle of reactive behaviors that can escalate conflicts. It builds trust. People trust you more when they know you can stay calm and handle tough situations with grace. It models emotional maturity. By not reacting, you set a positive example for others to follow. Strategic non-reaction doesn't mean inaction. It means you are choosing not to react impulsively, but instead to respond consciously. The principles of strategic non-reaction now. Let's break down the key principles that will help you master the art of strategic non-reaction in your relationships. 1. Every interaction is a choice between connection and control. In moments of tension or conflict, you have a choice to make. Do you choose connection or control? When you react emotionally, whether by defending yourself, raising your voice, or shutting down, you're choosing control. You're trying to win the argument or prove you're right. But when you choose non-reaction, you're choosing connection. You're prioritizing the relationship over your need to be right. In every conflict, ask yourself, what's more important in this moment? Winning the argument or preserving the relationship? Am I trying to control this person's behavior, or am I choosing to connect with them instead? By choosing connection, you can create space for empathy, understanding, and resolution, rather than letting the situation spiral into defensiveness and anger. 2. Take responsibility for your 50% of the interaction. One of the keys to emotional mastery in relationships is taking full responsibility for your actions, especially in moments of conflict. No matter what someone else does, you have control over your own response. People often try to control or change the other person's behavior when they're upset. But the reality is, you can't control others. You can only control your own actions. When you focus on what you can control, you become a calming force rather than contributing to the emotional chaos. Here's how to take responsibility for your part of the interaction. Own your emotions. Recognize that your feelings are your responsibility. You can't blame someone else for how you feel. Change your behavior. If you've contributed to the situation by reacting emotionally, take a step back and choose a better response next time. Focus on your response, not their behavior. Don't try to change their response. Focus on controlling your own. When you focus on managing your 50%, you stop being reactive and start being proactive in your relationships. 3. De-escalate rather than escalate. Most people's natural instinct when faced with conflict is to match the other person's energy. They raise their voice, so you raise yours. They get defensive, so you get defensive. This creates a negative feedback loop that only intensifies the situation. The power of non-reaction lies in your ability to lower the emotional temperature and de-escalate. Instead of feeding into the emotional intensity, you bring calmness to the situation. Here's how to de-escalate a tense situation. Stay calm. If they raise their voice, speak more quietly. Calmness is contagious. Become more curious. When someone gets defensive or critical, become more curious. Ask questions to understand their perspective. Give space. If the person is overwhelmed or upset, sometimes the best thing you can do is give them some space to process their emotions. De-escalation isn't about avoiding the conflict. It's about handling it in a way that keeps the dialogue open and constructive. 4. Separate the person from their behavior. When we're emotionally triggered, it's easy to generalize and think that the person's behavior reflects who they are as a whole. For example, if your partner says something hurtful, you might think, "They're a bad person," or "They don't care about me." But this only leads to misunderstanding and resentment. Strategic non-reaction involves separating the person from their behavior. This means recognizing that people are not their actions. They may be acting out of stress, insecurity, or emotional turmoil. When you separate their behavior from their character, you can respond with wisdom rather than reacting with anger or hurt. Here's how to apply this principle. Focus on the behavior, not the person. Instead of thinking, "They're always inconsiderate," focus on the specific action that hurt you. This helps you address the behavior without attacking the person. Empathy. Try to understand why they might be acting this way. Are they stressed, tired, or dealing with something difficult? By separating the person from their behavior, you can respond in a way that preserves the relationship and supports resolution. 5. Master the pause in emotionally charged situations. The pause is your superpower. The moment you feel triggered, there's a split second before you react. This is where your power lies. When you pause, even just for a second, you give yourself the space to choose how you want to respond, rather than reacting automatically. Here's how to master the pause. Take a deep breath. When you feel the urge to react, take a deep breath and count to 3. This will help you regain control of your emotions. Use non-reactive phrases. If you're not sure how to respond, simply say, "Let me think about that," or "I'll get back to you." This buys you time to process the situation and respond thoughtfully. Step away if necessary. If the situation is too heated, Don't be afraid to step away for a moment to cool down. The pause is where you can consciously choose to remain calm, collect your thoughts, and choose the best course of action. Non-reaction as a relationship superpower. Mastering strategic non-reaction in your relationships allows you to maintain control during emotional conflicts, build trust, and foster deeper connections. This skill enables you to handle even the most volatile situations with grace and wisdom, making you a powerful force for peace and resolution in your personal and professional life. When you can remain calm and composed, others will naturally gravitate toward you for support, guidance, and stability. You become a source of strength, a person others can rely on when things get tough. Random fact: did you know that wolves howl to communicate over long distances? Their howls can reach 10 miles in the wild. Just like wolves, your emotional communication, whether through calm responses or strategic non-reaction, can resonate far and wide, creating ripples of peace in the chaos. Next, let's explore how to lead with emotional mastery in the workplace and beyond, using your newfound emotional intelligence to inspire and influence others. Chapter 14. Advanced applications in high-stakes environments. Now that you have a personal emotional operating system in place, it's time to explore how to apply your emotional mastery in the most challenging and high-stakes environments. These are the situations where the pressure is high, the risks are significant, and the consequences of losing emotional control can be severe. Whether you're facing a career-defining moment, a crucial business decision, or a life-changing opportunity, mastering your emotions in high-pressure environments will allow you to thrive when others may falter. This chapter is about taking the emotional tools you've developed and using them in the most intense moments to perform at your highest level. The true test of emotional mastery. High-stakes environments are where the rubber meets the road. It's easy to stay calm and composed when everything is going smoothly, but when the pressure is on, that's when your emotional strength will be truly tested. This is where emotional mastery becomes your superpower. High-stakes environments can include crisis management, when something goes seriously wrong and you need to take charge and find a solution fast. Negotiations, when you're fighting for a high-value deal or facing intense opposition. Performance under scrutiny, when you're being evaluated, whether it's an important presentation, public speaking, or a critical test. Managing success and failure, when extreme success or failure threatens to overwhelm you emotionally and cloud your judgment. Dealing with difficult people, when you have to stay emotionally composed while working with challenging personalities. In these situations, emotional mastery will be the difference between thriving and crumbling under pressure. So let's explore how to excel in these environments with emotional control. 1. Crisis management. Staying calm in the face of adversity. A crisis is one of the most emotionally charged situations you can face. When something goes seriously wrong, whether it's an accident, a major mistake, or an unforeseen event that threatens your business, career, or personal life, the ability to stay calm and focused will be the key to your success. The people around you will look to you for stability, and if you can maintain your composure, you will not only guide yourself through the crisis but also inspire others to do the same. Here's how to handle a crisis with emotional mastery. Focus on the facts. In the heat of the moment, emotions can cloud your judgment. Focus on the facts of the situation rather than getting caught up in the emotional chaos. Ask yourself, what is actually happening and what needs to be done to fix it? Break the problem down. Big problems can be overwhelming, but when you break them down into smaller, actionable steps, the situation becomes more manageable. This allows you to take decisive action rather than being paralyzed by the enormity of the crisis. Lead by example. Your emotional state will influence everyone around you. Stay calm, focused, and decisive, and others will follow your lead. Your ability to stay centered will give your team or family the confidence to make rational decisions. Crisis management requires a clear mind and a steady hand. The better you can manage your emotions in these moments, the more likely you are to come out of the crisis stronger and more capable. 2. Negotiations. Staying detached from the outcome. Negotiations are one of the most emotionally intense environments you'll face, especially when the stakes are high. Whether you're negotiating a business deal, a salary increase, or even a personal matter, your ability to stay detached from the outcome and manage your emotional responses will give you a huge advantage. Here's how to navigate negotiations with emotional mastery. Separate your ego from the outcome. In any negotiation, it's tempting to get emotionally attached to being right or winning. However, emotional attachment to the outcome can cloud your judgment and make you more reactive. Detaching your ego allows you to stay calm and focus on the goal, not on personal validation. Stay focused on the process. The key to success in any negotiation is not obsessing over the end result, but focusing on the process, how you're handling the conversation and making decisions. By staying focused on the process, you'll avoid emotional outbursts and maintain clarity. Manage tension and emotions. Negotiations can bring out strong emotions, anger, frustration, fear, or even excitement. Your ability to stay calm and manage tension will help you stay in control and make rational decisions. By using emotional mastery in negotiations, you'll not only perform better but also gain respect from those you're negotiating with, showing that you're someone who can handle pressure and make decisions with poise. 3. Performance under scrutiny. Staying confident and focused whether you're delivering a high-stakes presentation, undergoing a job interview, or facing a public performance. The pressure of being scrutinized can cause overwhelming anxiety and self-doubt. In these situations, emotional mastery allows you to stay focused and perform at your best, rather than being bogged down by fear of judgment or failure. Here's how to perform under scrutiny with emotional mastery. Shift your focus. Instead of worrying about how you're being perceived, focus on how you can serve the situation. Whether you're giving a presentation or having an interview, focus on delivering value rather than worrying about how others are evaluating you. Use anxiety as energy. Performance anxiety is normal, but it doesn't have to be debilitating. Reframe your anxiety as excitement or energy that can fuel your performance. Learn to channel those nerves into positive energy rather than letting them sabotage your efforts. Trust your preparation. The more you prepare, the more confidence you'll have in your ability to perform under scrutiny. Preparation gives you a sense of control and helps you stay calm when the pressure is on. In high-pressure situations where you're under intense scrutiny, emotional mastery will allow you to stay calm, think clearly, and perform at a level that exceeds expectations. 4. Managing success and failure. Keeping your emotional balance. Success and failure can both trigger intense emotional reactions. Extreme success can lead to complacency, arrogance, or recklessness, while failure can trigger shame, despair, or defeat. The key to emotional mastery in both of these situations is balance, maintaining a grounded, realistic view of your achievements and setbacks. Here's how to handle success and failure with emotional mastery. In the face of success, stay humble and focused. Success is a result, not a permanent state of being. Use success to fuel further growth, but don't let it cloud your judgment or lead to arrogance. Always ask, what can I learn from this success, to prevent complacency. In the face of failure, instead of letting failure define you, view it as feedback. Failure is not a permanent condition but a stepping stone to success. Learn from it, adapt, and continue moving forward with resilience and determination. By mastering your emotions in both success and failure, you remain centered and resilient, able to handle both with the same level of grace, clarity, and emotional control. 5. Dealing with difficult people. Maintaining your emotional composure dealing with difficult or emotionally volatile people is a situation that demands high emotional intelligence. Whether it's a difficult colleague, a challenging client, or a personal conflict, your ability to stay emotionally composed will allow you to handle these situations without losing your cool. Here's how to deal with difficult people with emotional mastery. Don't take it personally. When someone is being difficult, remember that their behavior is more about them than it is about you. Don't internalize their negativity. Their actions are often a reflection of their own stress, insecurities, or frustration. Stay empathetic but set boundaries. You can empathize with their emotions without being dragged into their conflict. Set healthy boundaries that protect your emotional well-being while still offering support and understanding. Respond with wisdom. Rather than reacting emotionally, respond with calm, clear communication. Don't mirror their anger or frustration. Instead, ask questions, listen actively, and focus on finding solutions. Emotional mastery allows you to be the calm anchor in difficult situations, providing clarity and guidance without being overwhelmed by negativity. Conclusion. Thriving in high-stakes situations, high-stakes environments are the ultimate test of your emotional mastery. When you face pressure, uncertainty, or opposition, your ability to manage your emotions determines your ability to succeed. Whether it's in crisis management, negotiations, public performances, handling success or failure, or dealing with difficult people, emotional mastery will make the difference between thriving and faltering under pressure. The key is to stay calm, focused, and clear-headed when the stakes are high. With the emotional tools you've learned in this book, you'll not only navigate high-pressure situations with ease, but also emerge stronger and more capable each time. Random fact: did you know that lava lamps were invented in the 1960s and originally designed to be a soothing, hypnotic object? Much like a lava lamp, your emotional control can create a calming presence, even when the pressure is on. Chapter 15. The compound effect of emotional mastery. You've learned how to master your emotions in high-stakes environments, navigate personal relationships with emotional intelligence, and establish a powerful emotional operating system. Now, it's time to understand the true power of emotional mastery over time. The impact of mastering your emotions isn't just seen in the moment. Its true strength lies in the compound effect. The compound effect of emotional mastery refers to the long-term impact that small, consistent emotional decisions have on your overall success, well-being, and fulfillment. Much like compound interest, these small, seemingly insignificant choices accumulate over time and create massive transformation. The key is understanding that every time you choose emotional mastery, you're making an investment in your future success and happiness. In this chapter, we'll explore how the compound effect works in your emotional life, how small, daily decisions add up to monumental results, and why mastering your emotions leads to life-changing outcomes over time. The power of consistency. If you've ever heard of compound interest, you know that the more you invest, the more your money grows exponentially over time. Emotional mastery works in a similar way. Each decision you make to respond thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively, builds a foundation of emotional strength and resilience that grows and compounds. Example: let's say you make just one small choice each day to pause before reacting to a trigger. At first, it may seem insignificant, but after a few months, the difference will be dramatic. As you consistently apply emotional mastery, you'll find yourself more resilient, more centered, and more capable of handling anything that comes your way. The most powerful part of this is that, over time, you begin to create a new emotional baseline. Your emotional responses become automatic, not in a robotic way, but in a way that allows you to stay calm, collected, and strategic no matter what life throws at you. The power of emotional mastery compounds because each emotionally intelligent choice reinforces the next one. With practice, emotional resilience becomes your default. The compound effect in relationships. The compound effect is especially evident. Every time you choose to respond calmly instead of reacting emotionally, you build trust, deepen connections, and foster a healthy dynamic. These small choices, made consistently over time, strengthen your relationships and make them unshakable. Example: imagine you're in a disagreement with a partner. Instead of raising your voice or bringing up past issues, you calmly express your perspective and listen to theirs. This doesn't feel like a monumental change in the moment, but over time, your partner will begin to trust that you can handle difficult situations with emotional control. This creates a stable, peaceful environment where the relationship can flourish, even in the face of challenges. The compounded effect of emotional mastery in relationships is trust and understanding that deepens over time, leading to greater connection and unbreakable bonds. The compound effect in your career and your professional life. Emotional mastery can also lead to profound changes over time. In high-stakes environments, the ability to remain calm under pressure, make strategic decisions, and handle criticism or conflict without reacting emotionally will set you apart from others. Each time you show up with emotional control, whether in meetings, negotiations, or presentations, you build a reputation as someone who is reliable, composed, and resilient. Over time, this reputation compounds. People will turn to you for guidance and trust your decision-making. They'll recognize you as a leader who remains steady in difficult situations and brings clarity to chaos. Example: in a high-stakes meeting, you choose to stay calm when others are losing their cool. This builds your reputation as someone who can handle pressure. Over time, you'll be entrusted with greater responsibilities and leadership roles because your colleagues and superiors trust your emotional intelligence and decision-making. This compounding effect in your career leads to advancement, leadership opportunities, and increased influence. Your emotional mastery becomes the catalyst for professional success. The compound effect in health and well-being. Managing your emotions doesn't just impact your professional life and relationships. It directly affects your physical health and overall well-being. Chronic emotional reactivity, stress, and anxiety wreak havoc on your body. When you're constantly in a heightened emotional state, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which over time can contribute to health problems such as heart disease, digestive issues, and insomnia. On the other hand, when you practice emotional control, you reduce stress and improve your physical health. The benefits of emotional mastery compound because you're not just avoiding negative health outcomes, you're actively creating a healthier, more balanced life. Example: by consistently applying emotional regulation techniques, such as deep breathing, mindfulness, and perspective shifts, you lower your stress levels. Over time, this leads to improved sleep, lower blood pressure, and a general sense of calm and well-being. Your overall health improves, and you're better able to cope with physical challenges. As you continue to strengthen your emotional resilience, Your body responds by staying healthier and more balanced. The impact on your health is often long-term and lasting. The compound effect in learning and growth, emotional mastery, also accelerates your personal growth and learning. Each time you respond to challenges and setbacks with emotional control, you learn new skills, strategies, and mental frameworks that help you grow. The compounded effect of emotional mastery and learning is that you become more adaptable, resilient, and open to new experiences. As you practice emotional intelligence, you also develop a growth mindset that allows you to tackle challenges without fear of failure. Example: imagine you fail at a major project at work. Instead of letting the failure define you, you apply emotional mastery by reflecting on what went wrong, learning from the experience, and moving forward with a clearer strategy. Over time, you become more confident in your ability to adapt and learn from setbacks. With every setback you handle with emotional control, you accelerate your learning and personal growth, making future challenges easier to overcome. Why emotional mastery leads to a life of fulfillment. The beauty of emotional mastery is that the effects are far-reaching. Emotional mastery doesn't just improve one area of your life, it improves everything. As you consistently make decisions from a place of emotional clarity, you build a foundation of resilience, success, and inner peace. Over time, the cumulative effect of emotional mastery leads to a life of fulfillment. You begin to attract opportunities, relationships, and experiences that reflect your emotional strength and clarity. The compound effect ensures that your life is ever expanding in positive, impactful ways. Random fact: did you know that oak trees grow slowly at first, but once they are established, their growth accelerates exponentially? This mirrors the compound effect of emotional mastery. Your small, consistent choices to manage your emotions at the start will lead to exponential growth and success later on. Conclusion: small choices, big impact. The compound effect of emotional mastery is one of the most powerful forces in your life. Every small decision to pause, breathe, and choose emotional control adds up over time, transforming your relationships, career, health, and overall well-being. These small, seemingly insignificant choices have a profound, exponential impact when practiced consistently. The truth is that emotional mastery is a lifelong journey. Every choice you make, every time you respond with emotional intelligence, builds a future of clarity, success, and personal growth. The time to start is now. The impact you'll see in the next few months, years, and decades will be a direct result of the emotional choices you make today. Conclusion: your path to unshakable emotional mastery. Congratulations! You've embarked on the journey to mastering your emotions, and you've learned how these small, consistent decisions add up to a life of clarity, resilience, and success. The true power of emotional mastery lies not just in handling individual moments, but in the compound effect, the exponential growth of your emotional strength over time. By practicing emotional control every day, you create a solid foundation for lasting happiness, fulfilling relationships, career success, and overall well-being. Remember, emotional mastery is not a destination. It's a lifelong journey. Each choice you make, every time you pause and reflect before reacting, builds a better future. The more you invest in your emotional intelligence today, the more you'll see the powerful results in your life tomorrow. Start your journey today now that you have the tools, knowledge, and strategies to control your emotions and unlock your highest potential. It's time to take action. 1. Commit to your emotional fitness. Begin today with a simple emotional fitness routine. Start with just 5 minutes of mindfulness or journaling to build awareness of your emotions. 2. Identify your triggers. Take the time to reflect on what sets you off emotionally and create a plan to respond instead of react. 3. Practice emotional control. Implement the stop method or any other strategies you've learned every time you feel emotionally triggered. Even small steps will make a huge impact. 4. Stay consistent. Emotional mastery is built on consistency. Each day you make the decision to manage your emotions. You're laying the groundwork for a more peaceful, powerful, and successful future. Start now, take control of your emotions, unlock your potential, and create the life you've always dreamed of. Your future self will thank you. Embrace the journey and let emotional mastery transform your life.